Okay, here's some other busy people. If that's the government's House Leader, what about the opposition House Leaders? Are the Conservatives and the NDP willing to play ball with the Liberals? Let's find out. Conservative Party Deputy House Leader Michael Barrett joins us, and the NDP House Leader Peter Julian does. Gents, good to have both of you back. Mr. Barrett, I'll start with you. Mark Holland hitting hard at the Conservatives, saying he doesn't trust that they have medical exemptions, that it's statistically improbable that multiple MPs in your party need a medical exemption for COVID-19. What's the response?
Look, from the very beginning, we were clear in response to the Board of Internal Economy's directive with respect to return to work. And that was that we would follow the guidelines that were set out. And so we asked our caucus if they would be able to provide the documentation that was requested from the House. And the answer was yes. And so we've done exactly that. And from the beginning, we have deferred and trusted medical experts. And so if in consultation with one's physician, they've said, yep, get vaccinated, like I've done, got doubly vaccinated, that's great. And they've demonstrated proof of that. Right. If there is a contraindication or a health risk to an individual, then they've received an exemption from their doctor and they've provided documentation for that. So we're very focused. You know, the Liberals, Mr. Holland, thought that this would be some kind of great barrier for Conservatives to overcome. He fails to recall that last year it was us that was pushing them to provide vaccines for Canadians. Now those vaccines are available. We're encouraging people to get vaccinated, and we're ready to get to work. So we want to talk about the issues that Canadians are seized with.
Lord knows I do too. So can you just tell us then, if it's such a, if you want to, how many of your MPs are double vaxxed? Just what's the number? We can lay this whole bloody thing to rest. Mr. Barrett, how many Conservative MPs showed up today with medical exemptions? 1, 2, 5, 8? Tell us the number. We can lay this darn thing to rest.
Evan, what we asked our caucus to do was to comply with the order from the Board of Internal Economy, and we did not.
But just how many? So just tell us how many had a medical exemption.
You'd have to. But
you don't know. You don't know how many got vaxxed.
We just asked them to comply with the directive from the Board of Internal Economy, and so that question could be answered by House administration, who we have every confidence did their due diligence.
Okay. The only reason I'm pressing is you and I went out for a drink tonight, we went to a restaurant, they'd ask us to see if we're double vaxxed, we'd have to show. Didn't your party just say, okay, there's 119 people in this room. How many are double vaxxed? Show us. How many have a medical exemption? Then everyone will know. Did you not do that?
We all provided each of us, each parliamentarian and their staff had to provide the appropriate credentials to the House of Commons. So it was different than a show of hands in a room, and we all went through that process. And so if we go out, you'll see that I'm vaccinated. I have my COVID code like most. Right. So that, you know, I can't speak for what the intent of their policy was. They wanted to make sure it was a safe workplace, created the framework, and we're operating exactly inside that framework.
Okay. Peter Julian, what's your take on all this?
Well, the Board of Internal Economy made the decision that everyone had to be double vaxxed. That made sense, of course. We're protecting employees. We're also protecting the public because the members of Parliament are traveling across the country. Some of us come from high COVID infection rate zones, others from low infection rate zones. The possibility of COVID being transferred and brought back to those low transmission zones is something we have to be very aware of. But the Board of Internal Economy also coupled a medical exemption with regular testing every couple of days. And so what the board needs to do, of course, is sit down, look at what has happened over the last few days and whether that test order is being complied with. That's something that the board does with every health and safety regulation that it puts into place.
Okay. Do you have any concerns? Just I'm trying to lay this thing to rest because we got actually the business of Parliament to get to. But Mr. Julian, do you have any concerns like the Liberals about if anybody's got a medical exemption that's, I guess, not appropriate?
Well, the rate is very high, given that the Government of Ontario indicates that medical contraindications is 1 in 100,000 people. So I think it would be a good question of transparency for the Conservatives to come clean on that. And I think part of the fact that of some concern is the fact that they just haven't release the numbers. But ultimately, the Board of Internal Economy will have the numbers. We'll have whether the test results are being respected, and I think that will help to clarify things in the next few days.